Hey, it's Feisty Fridays again. And I wanted to jump on here because last week we talked about safety and creating safety. This week I want to talk about clarity. And I want to kind of highlight the fact that I think, at least I do, I'll only speak from my perspective, that clarity is something that really has to go hand in hand with safety. The challenge is okay, imagine you're a leader and you've created a safe environment. Yeah, you have, because you know how. People feel comfortable. In fact, they might say, when I'm here in this space with you as a leader, I feel like I'm wearing my comfy sweatshirt. I feel like I can be myself. They feel heard by you as a leader. They feel supported because you're doing the safety right. But oftentimes in those same rooms, the comfort also can stall out and make us feel like we're accomplishing nothing. And I want to talk about that because I've been in that situation where essentially I've done the safety and now we're not doing anything. It almost feels like there's a timidity in the room. And safety as a leadership strategy is so important because if we don't feel safe, we can't contribute our best skills. We don't. And you know what? A lot of you reached out, and what I wrote and spoke about last week resonated. But here's what I see me doing right after I've worked so hard to build safety. I listen to myself creating safety, and I know it's a priority, and then I still stop short because I'm tempted to still avoid the hard conversations, to definitely soften people's expectations because I want everyone to be so comfortable. And honestly, I'm tempted to delay some decision making. And I will tell you all day long it's for safety, but I feel like sometimes it's because I don't want to disrupt the environment that I've created that was so hard to achieve. But the thing is I need to let myself off the hook a little bit and at the same time be really clear with myself because I don't think safety can be ambiguous. I think we have to be clear. I think safety and clarity are needed every single time. I feel like if we don't have them together, we do stall. And I feel like sometimes we've confused safety with comfort, but they're not the same thing because comfort and the comfy sweatshirt feel that you're just like, oh, I'm so authentic. I get to be me. You know what? That same version of you is the version that might not want to push that hard, that might want to say, well, let's keep things open. Let's not make too many decisions too quickly. And let's not create tension. Let's not fuss up what we've worked so hard to build. But I think leadership calls us to something else. I think we as leaders still have to call out, here's where we're going, here's what's not working, here's what we need to change. And this is tough stuff because it creates tension. It creates tension because the tension and the friction essentially makes us feel uncomfortable, but at the same time, it doesn't have to steal our safety. Unclear expectations will rob us of our safety every time. Because I think that the real issue is something that we don't want to say out loud. Certainly something I don't want to deal with. I don't even want to talk about it, but I'm going to go there because I think clarity feels risky. The moment we get clear about a decision, we're more visible, we're vulnerable. What if we're wrong? What if we get pushback? What if we might have to change? The moment we are clear about something, we're inciting pushback. And so I know what I do. You know what I do? I hedge. Oh, yeah. Instead of being clear, I will use vague language. I will keep things open ended. And I will say things like, well, let's just wait for a little bit more information. And I tell myself time and time again that I'm trying to be thoughtful. I'm trying to be conscientious. I'm trying to be collaborative. But what I'm actually doing in those moments quite often, my friends, is I'm avoiding the discomfort that comes with being clear and then having to actually stand on that clarity, vouch for it, take responsibility for it, be accountable for it. And I need to stop. So, clarity is not certainty. Certainty is something I'm very familiar with, and I've talked about it a lot, and they're not the same. We don't need all the answers to have clarity. Hear me out. I think clarity in these moments sounds like here's what we know right now. Here's the decision I'm making right now. Here's what success looks like for now. Here's what's not working, and here's something we need to address. I think all of those statements give clarity, but leave ourselves open with wisdom to learn more. And that's leadership. Leadership makes wise decisions. Wisdom and clarity, not perfection. Discipline. The discipline to say what we know and not anymore. To not have to have the certainty and to be willing to come back to the table having made mistakes. And when I do this, when I have had the nerve to do this, this creates safety at the same time. Because if we don't do this, you know what high performers do? They'll leave because they can't handle the lack of clarity. They don't want to decode. Low performers on your team, they just hide. They'll just hide because no one's naming the fact that we're not moving. And decision making in this kind of environment, if someone doesn't focus on clarity, the decision making will slow right down and everything will feel negotiable. And everything that's negotiable is very loose ground. It's quicksand. And the worst part about this is, as a leader, you will feel, I know I have felt like I'm being supportive when actually the team feels like the earth beneath their feet is moving. That doesn't feel supportive. In fact, it doesn't feel safe. Quicksand is not safe. Quicksand makes you feel powerless and lost. Lost because what can you do? So I think the work that I have had to recognize I need to do here is making the distinction between clarity and certainty, recognizing that certainty gets me in trouble. Wisdom means I need to stop choosing between safety and clarity, and I need to have them both. And I need to create the safety like I'm doing, like I worked so hard to do, so that people will feel like they can show up in the space and share who they are. But I also need to give clarity in the moment so that they have direction when they are there, so that I don't have one without the other, because they don't work as well if we don't have them together. And certainty is not invited to the clarity party. Certainty is not invited to the clarity party. Wisdom says we can be clear and we don't have to sacrifice the fact that we can still be wrong. It's holding both of those things at the same time and creating that safe environment to do so, even when it's uncomfortable. So I think safety is the foundation of most of the leadership conversations that I want to cultivate and be in the center of right now. But clarity is a discipline that I need to bring into that space, which is I don't know everything. I don't have certainty, but I can be clear about what I know in the room in that moment, and I can share that clarity. And if I hold safety and clarity, I can lead. If I can't hold both at the same time, I don't think I'm leading. I think I'm managing my own discomfort. Yeah, I've got lots of work to do here, my friends. Lots of work to do here. But we want to choose the good and not the easy. And the good sometimes means recognizing that there is so much more work to be done. So those are my thoughts for this Feisty Friday. See you next week.